again, it's not about the numbers. It's not about the massive presence. It's about what you do with the influence that you have in your immediate circles to start. And now, like, for example, for me, as I mentioned last episode, I don't have a big social media following, and that has never stopped me from being able to make the money that I want to make with my programs and my coaching. So if you're thinking that followers or number of influence credentials or whatever you want to call them is going to be the only thing that equates to money making ability, then you're wrong, and that's okay, because now you are free to actually start working your circle of influence.
This is the online trainer show, trainer show, trainer show. This is the online trainer show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
So Amber said I'm an empty notebook. Jonathan's got us. That's what she said. Jonathan's eating asparagus on a podcast. I don't know if it's FCC rules somehow.
Amber, is it possible to see your feet for a moment?
Oh my God!
What happened to her feet? Oh, is this like a weird thing? What's happening?
I feel like everybody on the internet asked to see Amber's feet.
And someone asked about Rin's feet. I thought nobody's asked me to see my feet. They've asked to see other things, but not my feet.
I can assure nobody has ever asked to see my feet.
Carolina, how many feet viewing requests have you had?
I was gonna say, like, anybody can ask, but I charge top dollar for that. So
Oh my God! So Kettle has no particular foot demographic. However, she weeds them out through cost.
Yes.
The buy-in is high, so that's how
I immediately regret this conversation.
Brought it on yourself, sir.
I'm gonna send a message. I feel like you guys talk amongst yourselves.
I feel like Jonathan has like a giant swatch behind him for potential color.
I know it's a really ugly. So this is our office, right? This is one of the other offices in the spot where we're at, and basically we have an office out of a co-working space, which I really enjoy. Like, we could build our own office, but this allows us to expand and contract really well, because we have some people who show up every day, some people who don't show up, but also I love the communal aspect of it. I love the fact that there's other people from other businesses who work out here. Like, the kitchen is social, like all that. The problem is that we're not allowed to put anything on the wall, and we're not allowed to take anything off of the wall. And so this is like nailed on. Like, I couldn't take this off if I wanted to. And this is one of the better pieces of art.
I believe that.
It's not good. So, I mean, I get it. I get why they do it, because they don't want everybody just like hammering stuff into the walls. But it's a little bit frustrating. Like, my team got me a couple years ago, 2 years ago, Amber, this really great big map of the world, and talked about and it was the Online Trainer Academy, and then they sent me like a bunch of pins to like put pins in where we have students.
Oh,
and I couldn't put it up because we're not allowed to put it up anywhere, which kind of sucks. But.
On tape, you can get the ones that's really heavy, and it won't mess up the walls.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send me that. I don't know how. I don't know what number. We stopped counting how many countries we're at with the Online Trainer Academy. What are we at?
Last year, I remember, was 87. Now.
Yeah, we got to be over 100. I mean, at a certain point in time, it just gets to be kind of silly. It's like, oh, you had one person who's like, married to a diplomat who works in this country. Like, it's like, right? Like, basically anywhere anybody ever speaks English in any capacity. We have students.
That's where you're at.
But it gets to a certain point where, if you've got 95% of your students in 4 countries, cool, you had one student one time in, I don't know. Every once in a while, we discover like a new island, a new country though, like the Jersey Islands, for example.
That's
like a lot
cool.
of these old territories that are pretty, but they're technically their own countries.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, I didn't know
They still count.
They still count. They still count. They still count as their own countries. So, props to you if you live on the Jersey Islands. That's a place. You can look it up.
I don't want to critique you on in front of everybody, but I'm pretty sure the Jersey Island is called Manhattan. I I know
I
you've
went
been
to a
places and know
wedding.
things.
I went to a Jersey Shore wedding. One of Allison's
Oh,
girlfriends from
God bless you.
university
God bless you.
married this guy, and it was the most Italian. It was so beautifully stereotypically Italian, and it was beautiful. Like to give you an idea, the guy that she married is a firefighter.
Oh yeah, well that checks out. That checks out. There we go.
Everything about it was beautiful. There were sunglasses at night. There was fist bumping. There was everything that you could possibly imagine. It was just a beautiful, beautiful experience that I'm happy to have once.
Right.
Great.
Once and only once. You done with that. Now, I've only just noticed this, and help me, Amber, if I've just missed it all this time. But there's a plus mark in the upper right-hand corner of each one of our celebrity deathmatch grids here. Has that blue plus, has that been there the whole time? Okay. All right. I feel obligated to push the plus button.
What does it do?
I don't know what.
It makes
does.
your
it makes
own
us bigger.
screen bigger.
Oh, so I can just
So I
look at
can see-
myself and not you.
Yes.
I'm just looking at you,
That's
Ren.
great.
Okay, well,
I don't need to
that's
look
not
at
weird.
the women as we record
That's-
this podcast.
That's not weird. So not today, but the last episode that I listened to of this podcast,
Okay.
not to get too meta, but I listened to the podcast that we podcast later on after the podcast has been podcasted. So the last one that I listened to was the hotel one, and my audio was terrible. We were talking about the sweet tank girl in that podcast, who also flies a jet. But the audio was really bad on that. So I'm trying to be more aware of, first of all, bringing all my equipment with me when I travel places. And
Yeah,
second,
that was because you were away with your lover,
yeah.
Woo! Bow chicka bow wow.
who we
Aloha,
still know
aloha.
nothing about, despite ample poking and prodding to try to figure
And
out. Or him.
and
We
you-
still don't know whether it's a her or him, by the way. Or they. We don't
think-
know whether it's a they. I mean, it's fine.
I
Either
think
way.
we're clear on the pronoun, Jonathan, so far.
Are we clear? Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm
Tank-
fine either
tank-
way. Down by the bay with the hay.
Tank-
What do you say? It's okay.
Oh, tank girl. Yes, I'm what you refer to as a cisgendered heterosexual male, Jonathan.
So what's
What
the
was I
proper
saying?
African American cisgendered? What does cisgendered mean? I guess that's a question
That
I've
your-
always had,
your
but I've been afraid
gender-
to ask on the internet.
Your gender expression, like the way that you go through life, matches the genitals that you have physically. So you, Jonathan, are also cisgender because you are physically a male and
How do
you
you
are
know?
your gender is also, well, I mean, that's how you've always referred to as yourself, but I guess that's totally true. I've never necessarily asked. So
I mean, I know,
yeah.
I know if you've gotten very, very drunk, but I don't think. I don't think. And you tried to let this be on the record that you tried to peer pressure me into drinking more.
that is absolutely true. I will own it proudly. That is 100% me. Don't ever trust me. I will try to get you into trouble.
With
I
Dominican
gotta s-
watered down beer.
Watered down beer in Dominican.
I must say, after 100 plus episodes, I don't think that's a revelation to the listeners, Jonathan.
No.
That I don't think you're exposing any personality trait about Keto with which they are not yet familiar. That's pretty much on brand with Catalina Belmontes. And once again, I just want to say how much I'm enjoying your commitment to summer. I think you had some type of
Thank you.
popsicle today that had some
Yes.
season. Yeah,
Amazing.
I just don't know how you ended up in Canada. Like this is more I understand you, the less I understand that. However, I'm glad that you were able to find, the leader of a municipality in a cold weather climate
Uh-huh.
to snuggle up with, to keep you warm.
In an alternate universe, she would have come to America, and I would be curious about the governor or whatever she would have been.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need that comment.
That'd be fun.
Which state
Southerner.
dignitary in the U.S.?
The
Yeah,
senator.
yeah.
The senator.
The senator, like in the office. No, thank you.
You definitely want to
Okay,
meet
so
up with a senator.
so today, like I'm really struggling with my eye right now. And what happened is that I rubbed it, and I was eating tacos earlier, and I think I rubbed salsa in it. And
This-
my eye is watering. I mean, speaking about stereotypes, I don't know.
Yeah, a little salsa in the eye. This isn't the first time that you rubbed a spice into your eye, Keto. I think I remember back to a previous podcast where some spice found its way into your, what is that, an ocular cavity? Is that what we call it? Found its way into your eye. I think it's because the food's so good you start to weep.
That's
Yes.
That's got to be the first thing they teach Mexican children is not to touch your eye after you touch
You would
food.
think we'd learn by this stage in life. I'll never forget the time that I took out my contacts after handling jalapenos, roasting jalapenos. That was brutal.
Yes.
So yeah, I've done that too. So
Doesn't make sense.
nope, it doesn't.
I don't want to explore this part of the topic any further. John colored. That always makes me feel like I'm a little bit more Canadian. Anytime I read a word that doesn't necessarily need a U, but there's a U in it, I'm like,
Yeah.
Canada, you're just cooler. Canada's just so much sweeter than the U.S. You guys are you found a way to push the envelope of spelling, but in a sophisticated and dignified way that America is not yet
It's a French
entered
influence. Couleur.
It's the French influence. Yeah, colored shirt. I love it.
And
I
then
love it.
center is spelled centre.
Yeah, with the
it's-
R-E.
We go
Oh,
R-E.
so funny.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense. We've got to talk about a topic.
We do, and I would love to.
I'm totally distracted by these little peanut butter sandwiches that I made out of Ritz crackers and Jif peanut butter. They taunt me right now. They're haunting. So I'm hoping I can get you guys on board to talk a little bit more, so I can back away and just have
You gotta
these
be
three.
like a dog eating peanut butter. You ever seen
Oh,
those
absolutely.
videos? Oh my god,
Yeah,
those videos
well,
are funny.
I lived the experience. I had a boxer for 10 years, Buster the Boxer, Buster
Okay.
Douglas Jones, and he was a peanut butter lover. Sweet boy.
Douglas Jones. That's a great
Yeah, the
name
dude was
for it.
hilarious.
That's
Yeah.
adorable.
Great name for a boxer. Buster Douglas, for those out there listening that don't know, was the first boxer that beat Mike Tyson in his heyday. Buster Douglas took his title from him. So naturally, when I got a boxer, being a boxing coach, and Buster Douglas, and then I added the Jones. In any case, speaking of jonesing, a lot of folks out there jonesing on the internet for some influence, right? We talked to
Nice. I see what you
OTA
did
coach.
there.
That was a good segue.
That was good. I wasn't paying so much attention. I was on my phone, but then I caught it.
You on your phone.
That was good.
Jonathan perked up for one good seg. So that's the second good segue out of 110 episodes. Seeing 55 more. So people want influence on the internet, and sometimes I can't speak for Amber, but I'll speak for myself. Oftentimes when I'm talking to Online Trainer Academy students and or graduates as an OTA mentor, which is one of the things that I'm privileged to do here in the organization, they will say, oh, those damn influencers. They are just in the way and selling their influential crap. They've got their shirts off, and I want to take my shirt off too. They've got their gym. This is men I'm talking about. The OTA. They've got their, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, Keto, because I know that you have some sense of booty picture skill.
yeah.
You have a booty picture skill set. So I don't want you to feel attacked by this. That's
Not
not
at
what I mean. Okay. That's what I love about Keto. She knows how to be Keto. But they've got on their Gymshark attire with their booty pic, and I just don't fit in that space. And they're taking all of the attention with their booty pic things that they're doing. And I hear some of them are on the pot, some of them are on the reefer.
What?
So that's the
Crazy
true thing.
kids.
Yeah. Those kooky influencers, they're all on the pot. So,
Dude,
but how do we? Yeah, they're
I am
using, man.
astonished.
Yeah, and in between Saturday morning commercials, McGriff the crime dog down here in the United States used to say, "Winners don't use and users don't win. So don't use drugs. Don't use drugs." I
Their
won't do the whole
parents, their
song.
mother and father must not have been around much when they
They
were
they
young.
weren't they weren't around,
Oh
Jonathan.
my gosh.
And that trail of destruction led them to the pot. They're on the pot. But I digress. So how can a guy like me, right? I'm just a regular guy. I'm just a regular coach. I'm out there living my best coaching life. I put my coaching shorts on one leg at a time, Jonathan. You know, uh, how can I compete with the influencers out there on social media as a coach? Do I need to compete with the influencers out there on social media as a coach? That's what we're going to talk about today. So between Keto and Jonathan and Amber and myself, uh, you know, we're going to discuss how you can exist in this market, you know, if you're not a quote unquote influencer, or if you don't desire to be an influencer, or if you don't have like hundreds of millions of followers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So I'm gonna take this off because
Do it, because I'm going to ramble more
I
if you
feel like
don't.
you're kind of lobbing this up and just waiting for somebody to take the ball.
That's-
You're like,
that's-
it's there,
that's
guys.
what I'm
It's
trying
there.
to do.
It's there, guys.
That's what I'm trying-
Guys, it's there.
Dunk it.
You earned a peanut butter cracker sandwich. You enjoy that.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm
'Cause I
already
would-
enjoying it. I'm on
jealous.
mute.
I'm going to take this a little bit of a different direction and say that anybody who is in this business must be an influencer, but I'm going to redefine the word influence. Influencer does not mean that you have a ton of followers. Influencer means that you have a valuable reputation towards a subsection of people. And that subsection does not have to be big. Repeat it over and over again. It's a staple of the Online Trainer Academy. You need 30 clients at $200 a month to make $72,000 a year. That is not many customers. And that's assuming that you have no other streams of income. And that's not a lot of customers, which means you don't need a lot of bodies. Something if you were to stand on a stage and you were to speak to 200, most people, I know Amber is in this boat, would be petrified. It is a lot of people. But for some reason, they'll just kind of spit out anything to 200 plus people, even more, online and think that it's not actually that many people. Right? It's not enough somehow. Well, like a few hundred of the right people is absolutely more than enough. And I do want to talk about it like I'm gonna lay out your strategy, boom, 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 A, B, C, D, exactly what to do in order to get those right people. But I'd love for somebody else to speak first if they have something else to add to the kind of theoretical portion of it, and then I can get into more of the actionable bits.
Yeah, Keto, that'll be you, and only because I got one more peanut butter cracker sandwich left.
I was checking my email. I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I'm on a streak with these peanut butter crackers, and I don't want to like eat two and then wait for the third one. So
I can keep going if nobody else has anything to say. I just don't.
No,
want to
no, I do. I'm
a
joking.
white cisgendered male monopolizing the conversation.
Like usual. I mean, expected.
like is that
Typical.
different than any other day? But Keto, some insight here.
Yes.
Jonathan made some good points. Just repeat some of what he said, but with
But with my intonation, with my accent.
yes.
Let's make it
put an
spicy.
accent on what Jonathan said. It'll sound completely different.
All right. No. Now, for real though, like talking about influencers, like it's so true that we all have our circle of influence. Even if it's just your immediate family for now, if you're just starting, even if it's just your circle of friends, this is a circle. These are your circle of influences in which you can actually, you can ask for help, you can ask for input, you can test your information, your tactics, all this kind of stuff. So you already have influence over a certain number of people out there just by the sheer act of existing. And I hope that takes a little bit of the pressure off for some people too, like, oh, influencers. again, it's not about the numbers, it's not about the massive presence, it's about what you do with the influence that you have in your immediate circles to start. And now, like for example, for me, as I mentioned last episode, I don't have a big social media following, and that has never stopped me from being able to make the money that I want to make with my programs and my coaching. So if you're thinking that followers or number of influence credentials or whatever you want to call them is going to be the only thing that equates to money making ability, then you're wrong, and that's okay, because now you are free to actually start working your circle of influence.
Yeah, it's you really want to not fake the funk on a nasty dunk. I think is what Carol's saying. So because
What did I say?
I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I couldn't hear what you were saying over the inner crunch of the peanut butter crackers that I was eating. But you were using your hands a lot, and that's how I know it was probably awesome. It'll be a treat for the podcast episode comes out, and I get to listen to it for the first time with the listening audience. But you got people out there, Jonathan, selling the freaking blue check on Instagram. I must get like 3 of those things that, hey, do you want a verified badge? We'll sell one for $200. No, I don't want that. Yeah,
it's like 15, 20 grand. It's not even
right.
Wow.
So in terms of, let's get into the strategy. My theory about not important, but what I would like to do is get into the strategy, because if I'm understanding correctly, Jonathan, a lot of your conversation around quote unquote competing with influencers is really just not about. It's really just about not even playing that game. First of all, it's not the proper game to play. Second of all, you're probably out of your lane if you're trying to play it. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Len, I just want to say that I really respect you and I respect what you do. And, even though you don't feel like you have anything valuable to add here, I find you valuable.
Thank you, Jonathan.
People tell me that I didn't know I needed
today.
People say that I need to say thank you more in my business.
You do. I mean,
I was certainly rude to some staff yesterday because I was dissatisfied with some performances, and I've been told that it's important to also be sure to appreciate people when they do good work. So there you have it.
Man, that's so funny, because I'm writing a particular article that you've been critiquing heavily. Trying to get that thing together. I'm like, oh, John's not pleased with this yet. Let me see what I can do. But in any case, Jonathan, it's not about you and me today, sir.
I am not pleased with that article yet. You are correct.
I know that. So, it's not gone unnoticed, sir.
There are areas of improvement.
Multiple, and they were highlighted in different colors, which is what I love so much about you, Jonathan. Your ability to use different colors to highlight things. But that's part for the we'll talk about that amongst ourselves. But in terms of influencers, like, what's the key to not even getting caught up in that savage tapestry of destruction that happens on social media?
I mean, I'll start more theoretical, and then I'll get into some straight action fire bullets of stuff to do and to do on an ongoing
straight
basis.
fire. You about to spit hot fire? You gonna spit hot fire today?
Yes, you know it.
Oh, he's spitting hot fire. All right.
Amber is cringing. I wish everyone could see her face. She's cringing so hard.
That just means we're on brand. Go ahead, Jonathan. Give us some of that fire information, sir.
Yes, I will. I will ignite all of your fires.
That got weird fast.
That was the name of my first book. Did you know?
Oh, yeah, I did. The first of 11, I think.
Right. You forgot. Yes, the book.
Hold on. Before you start talking, Jonathan, Keto, why do you have so many blue books behind you? Like,
Oh,
do you
they're
only buy books that are blue? Am I?
no, they're all color coordinated. Below that
Okay.
are the
That's
orange
weird.
and
I know somebody else
yellows.
who does
And
that, and that
Okay.
tweaks me out.
Okay.
That tweaks
I
me
I
out.
love it because I
Okay.
know I'm very visual. I know exactly what every cover of my books looks like, so I can visualize it and find it right away.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna just
amazing.
stick with. I think that's weird. The the theoretical bit is when you're not wrong. I mean, people who strive for influence on the internet, particularly Instagram, I think we can safely refer just to Instagram here and TikTok or whatever that all that other nonsense is that those kids are using these days, is that their business is content, right? Their
Right.
business isn't a business per se. It's a different kind of business than yours. And you could probably think of some off the top of your head who are just really, really great content producers. Like that's what I think is really interesting. What's happening in the fitness industry right now is the rules are being much more tightly defined as to what people do, people don't do. There are people who are great at producing content, but like kind of shitty coaches and like
Right.
not very good at running a business or anything like that. It's like, cool. Well, like that they are doing what they should be doing, right? They should be producing content. And then the smart ones basically have somebody else who's running a business off of them. And they're just like, yeah, you just like go like get an audience and we're going to like build a business off of that. Right. So, one option obviously is to find somebody who's great at producing content and be their business back end, be their coaching back end, and basically partner with them. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for that because I think that there's a lot of people who are great content producers who are building up, I mean, even 30, 40, 50,000, followers who, if they had a halfway decent business, I mean, they could, if you've got 30 or 40,000 followers, you should be making $500,000 a year.
Right.
Like, it's that simple. Right. And if you're not, you need to sign up for the Online Trainer Academy, probably level 2.
Right.
Because
Right.
you are in no way like, I will always remember in our Facebook group, somebody's like, oh, does anybody know an Instagram ad specialist to help me, to help me grow my business? And I was like, okay, well, like, tell me about yourself. Like, what's going on? They had 500,000 followers. It's like, you don't need ads to find more people on Instagram.
Wow.
You need to learn how to run a goddamn business out of your Instagram. Right. You need to learn how to actually engage these people in a valuable way and attract the right kind of people and learn how to convert them and then retain them and then actually grow a business on the back end with other coaches. Because like once you do that, you're going to get busy fast, dude.
Yeah.
So that's number one. But number two, if you are starting from scratch and you don't have the opportunity to partner with somebody who's a great content producer, it's understanding that you really don't need big numbers, but you need valuable numbers. And there's a lot of little tricks and hacks that you can do very, very quickly. So the first is to really dial in on who your audience is. Find other people who are already attracting that audience. Find the people who are commenting and interacting with them and create relationships with them. This was much of the theory in my book, Violnomics, actually, which I wrote in 2013, is you want to find, I call them the road builders. Basically, you find people who are the type of people who actively engage on the internet. Some people just don't engage that much on the internet. It's like, that's fine. They're not bad people to have follow you, but if you're trying to build a platform, particularly from scratch, it's much easier to actually go out of your way to attract people who are the type of people who engage first, because then a conversation starts to go much quicker. Because then less of an onus on you to create conversation, right? There are people there who just like to already talk on the internet. It's like, if you want somebody to work for you and for them to smile a lot, like the key is to find smiley people. It's not to figure out a better way to get somebody to smile. And so go to accounts where there's other people serving your audience. Look at the folks who are already interacting with them and then build relationship with them. Go to their accounts. Are they other professionals? Can you network with them? Can you follow them? Can you start interacting on their material? After you interact on their material 2 or 3 times, can you send them a message saying, hey, what's up? It looks like you're doing some great stuff. They'll probably follow you back. Now you've effectively gained a follower who is a road builder for you because they're the type of people who are going to engage with what you do. That's, to be honest, like that's basically all you should be doing when you're starting out. When you're starting out your Instagram account or when you're trying to grow your Instagram account. And they don't necessarily have to be other fitness professionals. right? But I mean, unless it's like a private personal family account, which is maybe a little bit different, you're not going to like interact on their kids necessarily, but you can have enough people who run their accounts kind of as accounts for whatever they do, and take an interest in them and what they do, and all of a sudden now they're going to check you out and look at what you're doing, and particularly if you comment once or twice on their stuff, they're going to notice you. And all of a sudden now you've probably paid more attention to this person than the quote unquote influencer is. And they're going to, start paying attention to your side, assuming that you have good material and a good product. Like if you don't have good material and a good product, there's nothing that you can do.
Yep.
But assuming that you do, that's the best way from the ground up organically to start to get the right people to notice you, to approach you, and then get more people's eyeballs on you. It kind of starts with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're playing your own game at that point instead of playing somebody else's game who's better at it. I agree 100% with the following. I don't know. I can't speak for Amber again. That I, as an online trainer academy mentor, I've had conversations with coaches who start at the conversation, just can't seem to get any leads, can't seem to get any clients, and then I'll go and they'll have like 50,000 people on Instagram following them. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
what are you doing, right? Like that's what's crazy to me. It's like, what are you doing?
How did you build that?
Yeah.
Well, not even how did you do that? I mean, maybe they just started a long time ago and like got going with it a long time ago and just got ahead of it. But like, why are you still struggling to get 5 clients is my question. Like, it's not what are you doing, it's what are you not doing? What are you now doing too much of, and what are you not doing as a result? Because at a certain point in time, engaging on Instagram becomes easy. And so you just keep doing that, but that's actually not getting you to where you want to go. You've got to learn how to actually build yourself up.
So there's a secondary layer to the strategy that Jonathan is mentioning here with seeing other people's audiences and then interacting with them and following them, taking a genuine interest and commenting on their stuff when it's relevant. What happens also on the back end is that, as far as I understand it, the algorithm, when it detects that you are an actual real person who interacts with other actual real people in the app, it boosts your stuff and it shows it to more people, and it kind of like it allows you more visibility just by sheer power of you showing up in the app. So even that's something like to take into account. Like if you're like, well, I don't know about how to interact with people, just interact, because a comment here and there, not a copy paste, like an actual comment, be human. And then even the algorithm gods are going to kind of like bless you with visibility thanks to that.
Oh man, how often do the algorithm gods and the gardening goddesses get together, kiddo? That's a question that I want to know.
Is there a dance for this?
You guys is the meeting monthly or is it?
It's a secret meeting though.
They just scissor me Tim.
Oh man,
I think what we're showing on this podcast and why I'm so proud of what we're producing here for a lot of reasons. One is like,
you mean today?
Well, just in general, I am proud.
Oh, okay.
We're human.
Oh, okay.
We're showing that we're human. It doesn't mean that we can't add value. It doesn't mean that we can't help out and talk about serious things. And we've shown that. I mean, we've had some very serious conversations. We've had some very serious curiosity-driven conversations. I've learned a lot.
Yes.
I learned I learned that I'm a cis male today. That's cool.
Yes.
I am.
I have a thing. I have a thing that happened this week that I was dying to tell you guys about, because now you're talking about the podcast and what we do and all this kind of stuff. So I had the most fantastic message this week, like a couple of days ago, and I'll remember her name soon. But anyway, she messages me and she's like, I've listened to every single episode. I know she's one of those. Go figure. Yeah. But seriously, she's like, I've listened to every episode. I've learned so much. Thank you guys for doing what you do. And she says, And just so you know, now whenever I face something that is like scary or out of my comfort zone, I ask myself, what would Caro do?
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God. And I was dying laughing because I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's awesome or terrifying.
Oh,
Like,
no.
like this could go either way. Like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
But it's like, no, seriously, best message ever. She made my year. I was so
I just
happy.
don't know how she got that from the podcast. I mean,
I
that's,
don't either.
Like, you know what? Next time when you were at crossroads in your life, you don't need Jesus. You need Caro. What will Caro do?
What would Caro do?
that's how I convert
It's
religion here.
that's a frightening concept. That there are humans out there who are valuing what you're saying to the extent that they would like to make similar decisions to what you would.
That's dangerous.
I'm alarmed by that. I think if not run into a single best reason to discontinue the podcast, I think we found it today. We're gonna have to shut this thing down for humanitarian reasons. We're gonna have to shut this down.
You've created a monster.
Can we talk about though, just like why people think they need to be robotic on the internet and how hard it is to not be robotic on the internet and to be human? Because I don't know. I mean, I'm the type of guy who just doesn't feel things. So like, I'll just walk up on a stage and just speak to 500 people and not even think about it. But like, apparently that's weird. So people who do feel things, I'd love to know why you feel like you should be, you feel like you are being robotic and it's very hard to get out of that. Amber, I'd love to hear from you.
It's simply a fear of judgment and like the need to be right. And what happens if someone argues with me or makes me feel like what I've said makes me sound stupid or, whatever. It's not understanding how to like take in critiques or criticism or trolls and not like let it ruin your day. Right. And how to handle those kind of situations. So it's just straight up fear of judgment and potential shame.
Yeah, absolutely. I think here's what I think about the internet and social media platforms. I think that we probably spend, say we, I mean, not me. I want to disassociate myself from this 100% altogether. I think that what I found is that people are so overwhelmed or sort of over interested in algorithms, right? We always want to know what the thing is that the thing does and how to manipulate it, when in reality, building a business will always be dependent on your ability to build a relationship with the individual that you're having contact with at the moment. Relationships trump all algorithms. Yes, they just really do. Like if you have the ability, and I heard Will Smith say this one time in terms of his life's work, the esteemed Will Smith. Will from Philly. I heard him say one time that he looked at his career as laying one perfect brick at a time, right? Like not building the wall, just laying the one brick and taking your time, being very decisive and specific about the methodology that you're using and laying that one brick perfectly. And eventually you have a wall, but you sort of don't set out to rush the wall just to get the wall done. What I found is that in social media, it's a lot of the same way, right? Like I would have one person commenting on my social media post. And what I would do is I would reply to that person. And I'd end up having a conversation with that person. I'd end up asking them about something that they mentioned in the comment later on. Just building a relationship with the one individual that's in front of you at the time is a masterful strategy for building actual influence on social media, and not instead of asking 50 people to follow you. Follow me, I'll follow you back. Like that's not relationship building. You don't get by asking for followers through means that are not engaging. It's just my grandfather used to say is back asserts. He was trying to say ass backwards, but he's from the South. But it is somewhat back asserts, right? So take the time to interact with the human in front of you. Like they may be the only human paying attention at the moment, but you create a spokesperson by doing that. And just like interest, these small deposits, they compound over time. A lot of what I'm able to do today is because of how I was able to interact with a single person in a single space and make them feel valued, make them feel value at the time. At the time, when I came into John, when I met, as soon as I walked in the room, he was like, "Hey, who are you, kid?" I was like, first of all, I'm older than you. Second, I'm Ren Jones, and I'm here to provide you some value. And he was like, "You're the man. Nobody else has ever promised value." But yeah, I came in the door and said, "Safe word, value," and he was like, "Bro, you're in." I don't want to expand any more on that example. I'm getting uncomfortable speaking about safe words. But that's my TED talk about building relationships. It really does all of the other things that you're obsessed with doing. I'll turn it over to someone else now to ramble.
It's 2 p.m. We're done. We don't need to end.
All right, that's good. Good talk. All right.
Checking out.
Swell job today, guys. So show notes can be found at onlinetrainer.com/podcast. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode of the Online Trainer Show, where we talk to you about sort of just I can't remember the title, Jonathan. He had a better title, but for lack of a better understanding, I don't know.
How to beat IG. It's in the top. It's in the domain name.
I can't click on it. Like it's
how to beat IG influencers at their own game.
Okay, great topic, Jonathan. Kero, thank you so much for your insight, and Jonathan, your insight as well, and Amber for being forced into talking once again and responding favorably. This has been another thrilling,
thrilling,
if not informative episode of the Online Trainer Show.
Titillating.
2 days from now, unless you're binging, and if you're binging, we'll see you at the next gas station.
Do you remember when like Spotify came out with all of those like awards and stuff at the end of the year, and everybody was sending us the badges? They're like, "Yeah, Online Trainer Show was my most binge-worthy show. I watched 6 hours in a row one day." And it was like, that must have been a slow day, dude.
Oh my gosh. Your children will not come out well with all the exposure that you've had to the Online Trainer Show. You probably
have been going on in your life to listen to 6 hours.
They live in Lithuania. Leave them alone.
Yeah. All I know is it had to be tragic. It had to be a tragic set of circumstances for you to be. Like, there's so much on Spotify. So many other things in life you could be doing. Well, I digress. I'm not going to go down that road.
Well, you know what I always say? With the jingle.
What's that? Jingle me timbers.
Wiggle with the jingle.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.